Hello, everybody, and welcome to Legends Look Back, proudly part of the Utini Podcast Network. This is a Star Wars books podcast for people whose moms bought Lever 2000 soap in bulk, where we celebrate our rich EU history as well as dive into lesser-known Star Wars classics. I'm your host, Jared Mays, joined tonight by the wonderful, the marvelous, just look at the shirt, Freddie C.
Hey, Jared, how you doing, darling?
What is this?
I don't know. You said marvelous. I don't know why I had to go that route.
Associated with looking marvelous there, Freddie.
Oh, thank you.
I
don't know what that is.
If you are an audio listener, I'm referring to Freddie's banana romper. Is it a romper?
This is just the shirt.
Okay,
This is just the shirt. Yeah, I'm not wearing
keep the romp out of it.
That's right.
By the way, vintage lever. Before we go to the next wonderful, marvelous host, $50. You can buy lever 2000 right now on eBay.
No way, $50? I should have stockpiled
For 3
that
bars.
stuff, man. Wow,
3
pretty sure we still
bars?
have a
That's
closet
it?
full of it back home. Lever 2000. You know who else is wonderful but not quite as marvelous? Let's be honest. Our producer, Rick Grace.
I was like, that's a mean thing to say about Emily, and then he threw it to me, and I was like, so that's fine. I accept it. This has been a week of abuse, so just bring it on. It's fine.
Oh,
A
Rick.
week of abuse? What?
No.
You're the one that subjected yourself to what I call Rick's rant of madness.
Did you even watch it?
I have not yet watched it. That does not mean that I didn't watch it. You see the difference?
There's a special ending just for you, Jared.
Oh,
Oh,
All right,
great.
it's not that
Is
big.
it
I
a
really
happy
shouldn't-
one?
I shouldn't hype it up that much. It's not that big of a deal, but I made a little
You
joke.
finally
It's just
admit
funny.
defeat. Yeah, we're of course talking about the argument, the bit of a dispute, the debate. There's a good word for it that Rick and I have been having for a month now about the ending of A New Hope.
Not
So-
the ending, just the beginning of the last sequence.
Okay, now we're gonna have an argument about do we call this the ending of A New Hope or the beginning of the last sequence? I feel like we can, round up and lump toward
It's
the end.
toward
You know-
the ending.
You know who has not had to take a descent into madness because she wisely stayed out of this debate is
She knows I'm right.
Emily Daybeck. How are you, Emily?
I'm good. My eyes are just so sore from rolling them so hard this last month. It's
Ow.
so weird. They've been like really aching lately. Gonna have to ice them or something. I don't know.
Wow, I've never heard that before. My eyes are so sore from rolling them so hard. I'm gonna have to use that with one of my coworkers.
You haven't
next
picked
time.
such a silly
Yeah.
debate, I'm sure.
Tell a bad joke. That's right. Well, we got some fun stuff coming up tonight. We're going to be talking about John Jackson Miller's Lost Tribe of the Sith. Oh man, now's the chance where I can hold it up and show it, but I don't know what stack of books it's in because it doesn't quite fit in with my Legends paperbacks, which are over there. And it doesn't fit with my Legends hardcovers that are over there, so it's over here.
You know
It's
who
gotta be somewhere.
always
There it
knows
is, Rick. Look at that.
exactly where his book is? Rick is like the librarian. Like he's I don't even know what like Legends
Thank you.
librarian did the Jedi
Thank you.
have that like always
Yeah.
knew what was up.
I don't know. Actually, I
So
don't have all the
technically,
books.
Jocasta News, the librarian.
That's
That
true.
is
Isn't she
true.
canon?
Yeah.
Oh, who's the one? Oh, she 2002.
She was in the Clone Wars. Yeah. Yeah.
She's both canon and
Anyway.
Legends.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's probably more canon than she is Legends. Let's be honest. But there it is, Lost Tribe of the Sith. Actually,
Yeah.
speaking of physical copies of this book, what physical copies do you all have with this? This one has some lore behind its.
Yes.
Behind
Isn't there
its
a
physical
very
release.
rare bannerless one?
Yeah, I'm gonna look for it while you talk about that.
I have that somewhere. I know for sure I have this. I can't remember where I picked it up from though. It's one of those things. I remember it existing around, and these are fuzzy memories, but I feel like it existed around the boom of ebooks, and I remember it being free. Right, it was free.
Oh yeah,
the novella.
Individually they came out, right? Like separately.
Each short story was
Yeah. So
Until the
that's my
end.
fuzzy. Yeah, until the end.
Talk about. Yeah, I found it. This one, I believe I bought the European copy because it's got the green text, which I hate.
Yeah, it's ugly, but it's a beautiful copy.
Yeah,
But
that's
it is the
jarring.
same size and bannerless as a regular paperback. What's
So
released?
that's a mass market.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I prefer to read it on the trade paperback. The trade paperback of this, it is just it's nice to hold.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It is. We're going to talk all about this book and more. But first, a few little UT updates. We talked about Rick's rant of madness. If you're wanting to catch that, or perhaps you want to join his side.
I will say I am so sick of the argument. I don't even care anymore. Like,
No, I don't have the argument. I do,
Broken him.
however, want to promote the fact that you made some content and some folks, might want
that's
to go
true.
catch the content.
I spent hours, and it's like a 15+ minute video. Yeah, it's my dissertation, and nobody cares. And I think I'm burnt out of like everything right now. So
well, we're about to take a
Yeah.
break.
yeah,
This is one of the announcements we're going to make tonight here at the start of the show. Is we're about to take a little hiatus here from Legends Look Back. That does not mean you're going to be contentless. In fact, I've got a ton of footage on my computer of a video that I need to edit together that I've just been hoping would kind of do it. It would just edit itself like a Megazord. You know how they just kind of snap together just right when
Or like
Yeah.
Beast
Rangers
Wars.
get in the cockpit and they're like, "What does
Please
this
do.
button do?" I've been
Mhm.
hoping it would do that, and it hasn't. But I'm going to make it. So we're going to give you some content. We are, however, going to take a break from live shows at least through the month of June. We're looking to come back toward the end of mid to late July/August. So we'll have more information on Legends Look Back Discord and Twitter regarding all those big changes, including Emily. You got a big announcement?
I do,
concerning
yeah. So
your
we
future.
are moving overseas. It has been kind of a long time in the works, but we're still finalizing all the details. So I will be taking an indefinite break from live shows just because the time zone in Europe is so weird. So we might be adjusting some of the things. Some of our shows might be going to like pre-recorded and then we post it. So I might be on the shows in the coming year and I might not be. So don't worry. I
definitely
was
will
not
be on
fired,
some of them.
hopefully, that you know of. I have not been informed that I'm supposed to leave the show, but I just don't think that the timeline is going to work.
Play your cards right, Emily. Make sure you
I
agree with
know.
me tonight.
They're
And-
firing me. Send help.
We are not.
Blink twice. Anyway,
We have a plan set. It's going to be fun. We're going to you're still going to see Emily. Emily's going to be here.
I'll be
she's not
around.
going
I just probably won't
yeah.
be on the live shows.
Yeah, because it's going to be like in the mornings that we have to record the show.
Like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. Like,
Rick, have
and
you ordered
know.
the cardboard cutout yet?
Yeah, it should be here.
Rick, let's make Puppet Emily.
Oh my gosh. That would be unreal.
We'll just
That
make
would be
her roll
great.
her eyes every time.
Yes, eye
Yeah, all it
rolling
does
is
to
get a
Emily,
gif
and
that
then
says
one that does
Emily's
this.
eyes. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Laughs like that.
Seriously,
Speaking of
we'll have
that
to get
motion,
some freeze frames.
for our audio listeners, Emily was covering her mouth in laughter, as she often does, which case you
Yes.
can see her do about 7 minutes of that on a little live reaction video that we put together. This is for patrons only. You can find us over in the Utini Patreon. This was a spur-of-the-moment impromptu thing that came directly out of last week's show, which was, what's the thing about the hacky sack? I'll give you a backpack while you run.
Yeah.
Have y'all memorized the lyrics yet?
Seagulls.
That's right. We
Um,
did a live reaction video of Freddie and Emily watching seagulls for the first time. If you don't know what we're talking about, pay us $5 and you can know what we're talking about for 7 minutes. And by us, I do mean the legendary Dr. and CEO Corey Holton. No. We get all kinds of perks and kickbacks to help keep the show running, which it's totally going to do once Emily is, back from overseas. So, a lot of fun stuff happening with Rick's video and the seagulls thing. Freddie, you threw something else in the show notes. What's this?
Yeah. So just you play with Legends Look Back, we're gonna give you your gift. It's cool. We had a game last episode where anybody who decided to come and chat, we were doing a raffle, and it's cool. Your book should be coming soon. Your Dark Rendezvous, so that should be in the mail right now. Let me check.
Awesome.
Wednesday.
Cool.
I see Iskall in the chat again. See, probably gonna get another book. Come in the chat.
Perfect.
Hang out.
That's right. No giveaway tonight. However, if our folks over at Random House Worlds are listening and they want to release the Lost Tribe of the Sith, the collected stories as part of the Essential Legends collection, which John Jackson Miller himself told us was highly unlikely because it already exists as a trade paperback. Nevertheless, if you want to, we would buy it. All four of us.
Man, that would be really good cover art, Like,
Mhm.
they've got some great potential there.
Yeah, we got to get some UVACs on the cover, don't you think?
Yeah.
Those are very important.
Or as my speech to text, UVAKs. Every single time.
No way. Does
Uh-huh.
it really?
That's what how it read them.
You had the robot read you this book?
As much as I could, but I
Rough.
eventually settled down and was still enough to read a book.
Yeah, this is a good one to have in your bare hands. I don't know why I said bare hands. Just hands, regular hands.
Yeah, human
It's a good
hands.
one.
Bears.
No bears necessary.
No bears hands, human hands.
That's right.
Moving on. Freddie,
Yes.
we have been talking a lot behind the scenes about something fun that is being developed by the Legends Consortium. Who exactly are the Legends Consortium? You can find them over on Twitter. There is going to be a first annual Legends convention called, a very original name here, Legends Con.
Wow.
Legends Con. Tell the good folks about Legends Con, Freddie.
There it is.
Yeah, so Legends Con is coming up here September 9th through the 10th. Here are some special guests, very awesome guests so far. And it's in the very, very nice Burbank, California, where most of the studios, the executives are at. So nice area. Guests include Randy Stradley, Matthew
Love it.
Stover, Karina Becco, Sean Stewart, Barbara Hambley, and Abel Pena. They'll all be appearing at Legends Con to meet with fans, sign autographs, and participate in panels the whole weekend. So,
and we're hoping to go. We don't know for sure yet. It's not 100% set in stone, but at least Freddie and I are making plans to try to attend Legends Con. If anybody of the Legends listeners out there are looking at doing this fun first ever convention and seeing what it is, we don't really know because it hasn't happened yet. It's the first time ever. All their social media presence looks great, very well organized on their website. You can buy tickets there. It all looks really, promising and exciting, and we're hoping to make some fun content there. We'd love to hang out with you. Freddie, I'm thinking I might bring my really nice hardcover collectible copy of Crimson Empire to get signed by Randy Stradley.
Oh yeah,
that would be fun.
Matthew Stover.
Yeah, Matthew Stover. Definitely got to get Revenge of the Sith signed for sure.
Mm-hmm. That's a big one. That's a big one.
We just want to promote that. We're about 100 days out. Now is a good time to be looking at tickets, both to the convention and plane tickets if you're thinking about going.
I have like
We'll bring
3
some
copies
bikinis.
of Revenge of the Sith. I'm going to have to send one have you sign.
Ooh.
Absolutely. For a price. Only money.
Send 2 to me. I'll keep one for myself, sign it for myself.
Yeah.
And then it'll be payment.
I like it. I'll send them. I think I seriously do have duplicates. So
I'll give the other one to Jared. You have to barter.
Yeah, so stay tuned for more information on that concerning our presence at that convention. Yeah, stay tuned for more info from us about what that's going to look like. But that's coming up in September. Let's talk about the book. All right, we're talking about Lost Tribe of the Sith by none other than friend of the show, John Jackson Miller. In fact, which of you before the show was saying you didn't even know until after you read the book that it was by John Jackson Miller?
That was
Somebody
me.
said it.
For some
Own up to
reason,
it.
that hadn't sunk in all the way. John Jackson Miller's one of my favorite authors. But so it made sense in retrospect. I read it, I was like, okay, there was so much depth there. No wonder John Jackson Miller wrote this. Like, it makes complete sense now.
Just before we go into it, I feel like there are certain areas in this story where you could probably expand a whole novel just based on that open-ended area, right? Like the 3 days that it took to travel from wherever they were at to the capital, 3 days. It's like all the stuff that happened at that time, we didn't see it. It just, they breezed right through it. Yep. So even with all the depth, there's still more depth to discover here.
There are depths.
There are depths.
That's awesome. I'm looking to see if my computer's plugged in. It's lagging a little bit. All right. Yeah, everybody's still there. That's good news. John Jackson Miller wrote this. This was actually his first piece of fiction that he wrote for Del Rey. He had, of course, done some comics on the Marvel, the Dark Horse side of things. This was his first piece of fiction that he did for Del Rey. And he said there's a lot of fun facts about all this that we won't get into tonight on the show because the entire thing can't just be trivia. We're going to have some actual discussion and opinions. We got a lot to talk about with those UVACs, okay? But he does have all kinds of behind-the-scenes info on the writing of all these stories, as he does with all of his stories over on his website, farawaypress.com. Is it far away? How many fars? One of the fars away.
Far away.
Yeah. .com, and that's where farawaypress.com. Thank you, Rick. Always watching my back with the behind-the-scenes stuff there, so you can check that out. By John Jackson Miller. This is interesting because this is a series of 9 short stories. We might call it 8 short stories and a novella that were published between 2009 to form their final Megazord form in 2012 in the Collected Stories, as we're calling this. That's right. Morph it up, Rick.
Thank you.
You definitely didn't look like, you were constipated and yeah, but looked very much like a Power Ranger.
Mm.
Yep.
There it is.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. To, of course, form the book that we can now stick on our bookshelves. These were, of course, written to promote and provide backstory for the Fate of the Jedi book series. And there's also a comic series, short miniseries that's available. Lost Tribe of the Sith Spiral. I don't know if there's another one. Is there another one as well? There's at least one, the one miniseries Spiral, which, let's be honest, I didn't even finish reading this one in time for the show. I'll have it finished tomorrow. Okay, I'm really close. I've read it before. I did not get around to reading the comics, but if anyone wants to, they're interested, we could potentially do a bonus episode on that or something like that. There in that book series, however, Fate of the Jedi, that one's set, decades after the original trilogy, in which case the lost tribe of the Sith finally comes back to infiltrate and overthrow the Republic and the Jedi. There's one more fun behind-the-scene development thing, and that's the maps. Anybody look at the maps while you were reading through the book?
I did.
I wish I read them better.
You wish you had read the maps better?
Yeah, like I didn't utilize them enough.
I only found one map in my Kindle version. I didn't see any others. Was there more than one?
There is one. It's like,
I think there's 2.
I want to say
I didn't
there is
see this
2.
one.
Yeah, there's this one is like at the very beginning somewhere, or because I read the Kindle version too, and I found it kind of by chance.
Yeah.
There's like a title page, copyright, and then map. In map, that's where I found this one here. This Keshta.
Yeah, I only found the other one. Around.
Oh, really?
I messed it up in my head. Yes. What is the other one?
No, it's
Arancia.
difficult.
Oh, Alan Carr. Alenciar.
Alenciar. There you go.
There
There
it
it
is.
is. I saw
You're
that
circling the
map
landing
for some
field.
reason.
Like
Yeah.
a UVAC circling the nest.
Or
That
Yeah.
one's like
or
right
dying
before the
and
chapter.
drowning in the water on the way over.
We got there. We did. Now, here's the fun thing with. Go ahead, Freddie.
No, I'm just looking at it.
The fun.
Yeah, go.
The fun thing with this is these maps are, as far as I know, and I'm trying to double check right here on the fly, live on the show. I don't have my glasses on, so I really can't quite see the text on the screen. I'm trying to double check this, but I believe Shelley Shapiro was an editor at Del Rey for, maybe over a decade. Could have been 20 years. Shelley Shapiro was one of the map designers for like the Tolkien books. Kind of picked up, designing those maps in all the different editions of those Tolkien books. And so she actually, doesn't this look like the Tolkien maps in like Lord of the Rings?
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
It does.
And that's
I
why
can see it.
it's literally the same person.
It
That looks
just
really cool.
the nice mountains, the icons, easy to read.
I love a
even
good
though I've never
map.
seen it. Yeah.
I love a good map in a book. It like just adding a few
helps.
choice illustrations completely changes the way you read a book.
It's
Mhm.
great world building.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It is.
It's,
I
it's
would say
real.
so.
It's tangible and real once there's a map.
Mhm.
Some of the best world building in all of
Yes.
Legends. because it's different than looking at a galaxy map, which those are helpful. The spirals, and you get the Hydean Way and the Corellian trade spine, and all those things. However, this is different because it's down to earth, and the fact that the mountains are not drawn like topography lines, but they're just actually little squiggly mountains on the map. That I just love that detail. It's fantastic.
pretty adorable.
So let's get into it. Now, I did not write as developed of a summary because let's be honest, one of my coworkers is out this week, so I'm trying to work 2 jobs. Freddie, you know what that's like?
Never done it before in my life.
Freddie, you've been working 3 jobs for a few months, haven't you?
Or 4.
Yeah, 4 projects. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So let's get into the basic overview, and then we're going to break down the 4 major story arcs. Okay, so there are 9 stories: Precipice, Skyborn, Paragon, Savior, Purgatory. I feel like I'm naming the layers of hell here.
It seems like it.
Sentinel, Pantheon, Secrets, and Pandemonium. Which
and how they
What
work, each
wonderful
title.
words.
Or
they
this
are.
could be stores at like a strip mall.
that could
What?
be
Precipice.
Okay, I was
Metallica
thinking of like
Paragon.
courses of like a gourmet meal, like just the way
yeah.
that like each word,
right.
like
And then-
there
yeah.
are like layers in each of
fancy.
those.
And then Pandemonium is afterwards.
Yeah.
You fancy. My
Okay.
meals are called cheese.
I
The,
just-
the level of overlap here is beautiful with Fate of the Jedi. So the
Yeah.
Fate of the Jedi titles all have one word, as did Legacy of the Force. They're all one word titles. So Outcast, Omen, Allies, Vortex, so forth and so on. One word. These all have one word titles. Now here's the problem. I can't remember which one's which.
Yeah, that's fair.
I feel like I remember, sort of.
Yeah. I mean, we could like summarize each one real quick.
Yeah, let's
I mean,
give the big
Precipice-
overview, and then we'll
Yeah.
dive into
Let's do it.
the 4 major story arcs. So the
Yes.
first
Do it.
4 stories form the first story arc of the Sith arriving on Kesh. The second story is only 2 stories, which is about the farmer and the disenfranchised Sith, and then there's the story of the caretaker discovering the secrets. That story's called Secrets. I can remember that one. And then finally, the novella, which was only in the collected edition, is called Pandemonium, which I always hear in my head like the Metallica song, Sanatorium, Pandemonium, every single time. That's what I hear. So here's what happens. The Omen, a ship full of Sith in 5,000 years before the Battle of Yavin, disciples of Naga Sadow crash land on Kesh, a primitive hostile planet off of known hyperspace maps, unable to make contact with the outside universe. The Sith conduct their typical backstabbing treachery, set up a society in order to survive, enslave the native Uvak-riding purple-skinned Kashiri. The Uvaks are basically dragons, if you're wondering. And except some escape, others rebel. They bide their time until they can once again wreak havoc on the hated Jedi and their republic. That's the basic gist of it. So let's go a little bit deeper on each of the 4 main stories. The first one is they arrive, they crash land, the brothers fight each other. The descendants also fight each other. What else is there?
I'm also
That's about
pretty
it.
sure
You got
it's
Yaru
pronounced
Corson,
Uvok, but
main
we
character.
can do Uvac.
You always
Wait,
opt
really?
for the.
I thought it was
like,
Uvak.
No,
Is it not?
I'm just saying that.
Freddie always opts
Uvok.
for the
Guess it could
That's
be
what I thought
Uvok.
it was this whole time till today.
Uvak.
like slightly ethnic pronunciation.
You gotta-
like a little fancier.
Make it a hard K. Uvak
Uvok. Yeah,
in
there
the
you
back of
That
the
makes him
throat.
sound way more majestic than Uvak.
go.
Uvak.
Like Uvak
Yeah.
is like you vacuum.
Well,
you know, like I
no,
don't know. It
it's
could be
no.
like
U-Haul,
It's,
Uvak.
Uvak.
UVA is uva. It's grape in Spanish, right? Uvok
Oh.
makes sense.
Yeah, definitely
Uvak.
knew that
All
one.
right, I
Freddie.
like that.
Now
For
I'm
sure.
picturing flying grapes, and not a dragon.
There you go. Purple
the-
grapes.
The first story is perhaps the most developed, and it's extremely complex. The layers of treachery and backstabbing, and the way that they arrive, and it ties in excellently to the Golden Age of the Sith comics, which we read not so long ago. It also ties into a story that I just read recently. Oh, Cross Current. Cross Current features. There were 2 ships that that left Naga Sadow in the battle. One crash landed here. The other one crash lands through like a hyperspace wormhole in a different place in time. So it's through, there's time travel involved, but it ties in. So that's fun. All right. Second story then features the names of the stories are one,
Hey,
2, 3,
real
4,
quick.
Purgatory
Skyborn
and
is the next.
Sentinel.
Real quick, Skooma has a good comment about the maps.
Throw it up. There it is.
So, did a bit of digging. The original maps were drawn by Tolkien and his son Christopher, but in 1988, Shelley Shapiro redrew them in color for the newer editions. So, yeah.
There we go. So they
Very
are
cool.
Tolkien-esque. I was at least
Yeah.
mostly right.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. So the second story is only the two stories long. This one is Purgatory and Sentinel. There's a major spoiler for that one that we'll go ahead and give a spoiler warning here. Spoiler warning for this one. There's like a farmer who befriends, kind of falls in love with. It's a little bit iffy.
Yeah.
With a disenfranchised Sith. Her mother is a Sith High Council member, and then there's backstabbing and dramas. There always is. She's kicked off the High Council. Turns out, homeboy was a Jedi, and everything goes down. He had his own, like instead of a like a farm truck parked in his shed, it was a straight up spaceship. So
he had a
that's
way
kind
off.
of huge.
Kind of, almost. He had more
He
of a
did,
way off than
which
they did.
nobody
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
I know. All right.
Well, okay.
The third story. Tell us about the third story.
I went too quick, like in this part in the book. What happened to the Jedi? I don't remember.
That's the thing. They kind of end that story, and then you see the
Yeah.
Force vision later on in the future. There's a lot of
Leave it really
we don't
ambiguous.
knows. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All
Which is
right.
tantalizing because, like,
It
you
is.
so want that. You're like, oh my gosh, there's a ship and there's a Jedi. Like, this is their ticket. This is how they're gonna get out. Like, somebody's gonna get out. Somebody has to find out, and
Right.
then they don't. He doesn't answer that question. So,
Mhm.
the ship immediately blows up. Spoiler alert! And then
Yeah.
he just disappears with the Sith into the mountains, and they're like, wow, this is really hard. And then that story basically ends. And then it kind of gets a flashback. Now they have like 3 kids in the future, and they're like, regular life is pretty cool, and that's about it with that storyline.
Well, if we get John Jackson Miller back for a three-peat here on Legends Look Back, well, that'll be one of the questions we have to ask him.
A hat trick.
Yeah, I'm so curious about that.
Hey.
Absolutely. So the third story then is Pantheon and Secrets. Pantheon and Secrets. Is that right? Just the 2? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes. Welcome to counting with Legends Look Back. Pantheon and Secrets features Caretaker, the greatest name perhaps in the history of Star Wars, next to Valentine Farfalla, Varner Hiltz. Varner Hiltz, the Caretaker, who comes from a really, tragic backstory of both of his parents died, and he just kind of is like the janitor of the Sith.
Yeah,
it's like the Sith
basically.
janitor who
A little more exalted.
Spoiler alert.
Historian.
He has a really important role.
Spoiler alert,
once,
becomes the
like,
Grand
every-
Lord.
Yeah.
He has an interesting rise to power.
The most admirable Sith ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like rooting
He's a
for
great
him
character.
in a
Great
weird way.
character. And he discovers the secrets behind the true story of what happened with Yaru Corson arriving and the Omen arriving there on Kesh, not as conquerors, but as slaves. In all of the fallout from there. And then finally, Pandemonium, the novella, which was added for the collected edition, which I have not yet reread. So what's it about?
Oh, Pandemonium. It's literally pandemonium. Rick, go ahead.
All right. It's about that long lost continent. Most of the story takes place on Keshta, the continent of Kesh. And then earlier in one of the stories, there's I forget who it was, but she's on the Adari Vol. Yeah, she's on the run, and it's unclear if she makes it anywhere. But she heard rumors of this continent, Alinciar, or maybe she doesn't know. I can't remember if she knew the name or not. But anyway, we just don't know what happens to her. And so in Pandemonium, Alinciar is there, and it's a flourishing society with lots of technology, or at least relative technology, and things are going well. And the thing is, because of what's her name again?
Adari Vol.
Adari Vol. They know that the Sith are there and a threat, and so for thousands of years they have been preparing for the Sith to come back.
Heads up play. Yeah, she was a real one. She was an awesome character.
Yeah.
And
Tag
so then,
team.
yeah, that's the end of the previous story. Secrets is Varner helps the Sith discover that there's a whole other continent, and they need to go conquer it because the Sith they love to conquer stuff.
They do.
So it all comes to a head in Pandemonium. All right, what's your rating of Lost Tribe of the Sith, the collected stories? Emily, let's start with you. What's your rating of this one?
I think I'd have to go. It's not quite masterpiece for me, but it's more than good. So I'm going to go with incredible.
Yeah,
I thought the
perfect.
storytelling
Great.
was a really unique idea. I thought it was developed pretty well. Now that I know it was a compilation of short stories, which again should probably be obvious, but
Wait, you didn't know that while you were reading it?
nope, I did not. And because I got the
It's called
Kindle version, and it's
Collected
just a little bit
Stories.
off.
It's on the front.
I know. But all I saw was Lost Tribe of the Sith. I didn't read, all the extended titles. It is my fault, admittedly. Like I should have paid closer attention. I don't read instructions. I just dive straight in. That's kind of my personality. I find instructions a waste of time.
Yeah.
They're not. It's just my toxic trait. So anyway,
Sure.
now that I know that it is a compilation of short stories, it makes way more sense. And I feel like if I had read them that way over time, it would have been even better. But I still thought it was a great story.
Good. And it is really one of the most unique Star Legends books ever made.
Yeah.
There's nothing else like it. There's other collected short stories, but this is the only one by a single author. And it's set thousands of years in the past, but it's also set over a several thousand-year time span. But it's a tie-in to, I need like a Descent into Madness thing, like that graphic of the calculus of me trying to figure all this out. It ties into a story written 50 years after Return of the Jedi, which is not by John Jackson Miller. It's really incredibly ridiculous. And that series ties into Clone Wars. Anyway, all right. Backing it up. Freddie, what's your rating for Lost Tribe of the Sith?
I am a big fan. Am I quiet? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're
quiet.
Real quiet.
Okay, how about now? A little bit
A
better?
little bit more.
There it is.
All right, how about there? There?
Well, little hot. That's
hot,
good.
hot. Okay, a little hot. All right, anyway. Sorry about that. Had to mute myself for a little bit. But Lost Tribe of the Sith is so good. I try to keep like the span of the years as well. It's like 13 something years, and you go 2,000 years at the final level. How the story builds up, and how you can just jump into one not knowing what's going to happen in this story. I have no idea. And then of course you start reading more into it. You're sold. You're bought. You keep going, and then okay, now you're in a totally different timeline.
Yeah.
You've time traveled, exactly. You've time traveled, and you're seeing a completely new era of the Sith, and you're seeing this evolution. And it's like, it's almost like you could, if you could go back to the beginning and just be like, what are you doing? And of course, Pandemonium, just chef's kiss, sealed it off with the most like, oh man. I don't know how else to describe it, but man, is probably the best. You could put that in quotes, put that on a website if you want.
There are like twists on twists on twists. It's so
you
good.
You don't know where it's going to go, right? You don't know where it's going to go. And
it was not predictable at all.
It had been a while since I've seen it, or since I've read it. I see it in my head when it's
a movie for Freddie.
Yeah, it really is.
I can see it too, because I'm picturing House of the Dragon, the Game of Thrones spinoff series. I mean, it's just that.
Okay, so I didn't.
What are the ratings again? Let me hold on.
Masterpiece, masterpiece, incredible, good, fair, mediocre.
It's incredible.
Incredible.
No
all right, incredible for the two of you. Rick, what were you going to say?
I was thinking as far as like world building. This is not really in terms of aesthetics, not my mental picture, but maybe some of the tension between races, I guess, reminds me of Avatar. Like the whole these foreign invaders, and I don't know.
I thought about Avatar too. For some reason, I was thinking Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I was trying to think what I had missed.
That's a good, much better recognition
Filoni
there.
show.
So, yeah.
But no, yeah, Pandora. It does kind of remind me of Pandora too. I think.
Yeah, but yeah, you know my rating?
With the Uvox.
Yeah,
and...
give your rating.
Yeah, exactly. With the Uvox, I thought, they were like the.
Yeah, you don't have to do that. It's okay.
You don't like me, do you?
You do have to do that, right?
It's coming across that way tonight. I'm sorry, man.
You're good. You're good. Okay, so train of thought is gone, but the book was good. I think I don't love the format of short stories, and so it was a bit jarring going from time era to another. But you guys have convinced me. Like, as a whole, like it was a great collection. And there were definitely every single story I wanted more of that. Every arc I wanted more of that era.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I would say it's not good. It's incredible.
Yeah.
But man, I want more. And I know that there's more to be had, but I want more.
Right.
So.
Well, there's Lost Tribe of the Sith. I mean, there's Fate of the Jedi, which does go back to Kesh. The second book, Omen by Christy Golden. We have an image of that, Omen by Christy Golden. That one does feature one of the Kashiri Sith. We actually read one of the short stories. Rick, you might have been with me for that, with Trevor, about her claiming her Uvak. So it's the story of her Uvak hatching, and so it's about Vestarakai. She's a Kashiri Sith. And she becomes Luke Skywalker's son Ben's girlfriend, and that's fantastic because Luke is like this dad who's imagine you're a single parent and your son got their first girlfriend, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna try to be a cool dad about this, except for the girlfriend's a friggin' Sith. So I mean, it's just.
Way to spoil single dad Luke, though. I did not know about that.
I'm just saying, like, imagine it. Like, theoretically, that could happen.
Okay, could happen.
All right, moving on. Hey, which of these stories is your favorite? We talked about our rating. My rating is also incredible. Maybe masterpiece. Though this time around, my reread, it has felt very, very, very similar to House of the Dragon. And that's not John Jackson Miller's fault.
Yeah.
However, it really, really is similar. The dragons, the
Pandemonium. I feel like it's definitely House of the Dragon.
Yeah,
I feel like the first one is definitely Avatar for me. Like the first arc is Avatar, and then it's
the first arc is the most that was House of the Dragon for me. So
really,
let us know. Is it more House of the Dragon or more Avatar? And then please, somebody out there, make us a mashup of the blue skinned lightsaber wielding, Uvak riding dragon riders. It'll be great. We're going to love it. And we'll submit it to Del Rey. See if they'll put it on the cover of an Essential Legends collection. Which is your favorite of the story arcs? Anybody have a favorite? I'm kind of partial toward the Jedi Farmer Boy. Like that one.
That's probably the one I wanted the most more of.
I wanted more development there, for sure.
Well, I wanted the story, man. I wanted to know what happened next.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like why... I didn't really know why that was even included. If like the ship wasn't important, if the ship blew up immediately and the Jedi disappeared immediately, then why was this important? It
led the way to the rot, right?
It
led the way to the rot because once the Grand
Lord of the Sith?
Grand Lord of the Sith. Yeah. Once oh man. What was
the original one? Was Corson, Yaru Corson.
Not Yaru Corson.
Or at the end, are you talking about Varner Hiltz?
Not Varner Hiltz, the one in between.
Oh, great. I don't know.
It's that the one that died in the what do they call it? The reverse comet, aka the ship, the one that hopped in the ship.
Yeah,
took off.
Yeah. It was that the female one.
Yeah. Yeah, that one. So it was her. She was the Grand Lord of the Sith at that time, and taking her out, that's when the rot started because there was like all these factions and
the vacuum.
You know what I think that story did? I think it set a context for where we are in the timeline of the rest of Star Wars. Okay. That he escaped, and because it was in the middle was it the Sith Wars?
Revanite? Yeah,
because you mentioned Revan, so I think that was why. Like, so it kind of just because we've been in very much a Kesh world, and then now all of a sudden we're back in the galaxy for a minute, and then we dive back into the world on Kesh.
Yeah. Hey, by the
Or the-
way,
Sure.
Great point.
Revan, something weird's going on. The schism.
That's
Yeah.
right. And that ties into John Jackson Miller's. Come on, why am I blanking on all these names? There's a lot to keep straight with these short stories.
Yeah,
was.
for
the,
sure.
the
There
Knights
were a
of the
lot
Old
of
Republic
turns.
comics.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so he even name drops the fact that the Jedi was, hanging out with, who was that? With Lucian Dre. And he's like, yeah, they're not going to let the Sith come back if Lucian Dre is still in charge. And we're over here like, oh, Lucian Dre is kind of a turd, man. But he doesn't know that because he's been crash landed on spying on the Sith there on Kesh. So, all right. So who voted? I voted for the Farmer Boy Jedi story. Who's in my camp? Anybody have a different one?
Well, I liked him. I love that character, so he would probably be my first choice.
Jelf Marianne. Oh, thank you.
Jill,
Special delivery.
Oh, nice.
This is tough. I honestly, it's hard to pick because they all lead into each other, but I
Mhm.
absolutely
Yeah.
do love the original because Yaru was just so genius in trapping Sela and
The OG.
furthering his
Yeah.
his daughter under the how did he do that? Don't know.
And keeping them alive
Yeah.
and from completely falling apart. Yeah.
The Sith, out of all things, like he
And
managed to
mapping the
keep
whole
them
thing. Like, yeah.
and take over
Yeah.
the whole little island.
He left a legacy somehow. That
and
yeah.
up to 2,000 years after, he is still being talked about. That is a
Yeah.
legacy.
Which is like unheard of.
Yeah. I mean, there's Jesus, but
Yeah, that's true. But like,
Nailed it.
Yaru
Speaking of the
Corson.
Bible,
but he's not Jesus. Like he's definitely not
Christ.
Jesus.
it's not the
Speaking
same.
of
Not the
the
same.
Savior coming from the heavens,
Uh,
I was
enthroned
thinking
on
of like the
high.
secular world because, like, okay. Well, I guess Rome kind of left that kind of lasting impact. I felt like there was a very Roman undercurrent to like how the Sith brought art and culture and light and like
Ooh.
established themselves as gods and like built temples. Like it felt very
Yeah.
Roman to
Yeah.
me.
the whole Colosseum scene. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
it was like very much like entrenched in Western, like not ideology or something, but like like Western philosophy. It felt very
Mythology. Yeah.
Knowledge, that's
The
yeah.
Western canon of mythology. I kind of made a comparison personally. One of the reasons why I like the first story so much as well is the rivalry between the brothers, Yaru Corson.
yeah.
What's his brother's name? Derek?
Devore,
Darren? Devore.
Devore, or Devore, or
Called him
whatever.
Derek.
Derek.
Derek. Okay.
Derek.
Derek Sith. Hey guys, I'm Derek Sith. Probably didn't recognize me because of my hood. Anyway, their rivalry was very Jacob and Esau. The brothers
yeah.
competing with one another, and I liked that a lot. So, we've got everybody's favorite stories. I've got kind of a, I mentioned the House of the Dragon thing. This is very different. Is it Star Warsy enough for you? Is it Star Warsy enough? There's like what, 2 lightsaber battles in the whole story? How much Force lightning
I feel like
is there for
there's
all
not a
the
lot of
Sith on
fighting.
this planet? There's like 2 instances of Force lightning.
yeah, there's a lot of fighting,
more
but
of,
at the same time,
political
there's
maneuvering.
not a lot of fighting. Does that make sense?
Can I back up and talk about some characters for a second?
Yeah.
Sure.
Emily, did you get to go to? I can't remember.
No, go for it, Rick.
Okay. I loved the 2 strong female characters, Adari and was it Quora? Those the 2,
Oh,
right? The whole like working the politics, trying to help their people, and man, you're kind of rooting for the Sith, but at the same time you're not, and so they were a good character to latch onto.
Yeah.
Characters, but
I liked them. I liked Korra more than Adari.
Sure.
There were some elements to Adari that I did not like, but I think that made her overall a more complex character. I thought it was so weird that she was a mom and didn't care about her kids. That bothered me.
See, I even noticed she was. Yeah, didn't even notice.
Yeah, like
She
she
left
didn't
her-
care
left
about
her
her
kid
husband,
behind.
didn't care about her kids. She just cared about rocks, which I thought was the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. And which
Yeah.
I'm sure, like, I don't know, that bugged me. It just got under my skin because I was like, I'm sorry, but like if you have a child, you were like physiologically cannot help but care about that child.
Maybe
You
there's
know,
something
like, so the
different
fact that you have
in
like
Kashiri biology.
That's right.
maybe.
We're
Maybe.
anthropomorphizing the Keshari.
Yeah. And the fact that she tries to like martyr herself with all the Uvox, that seemed like a flawed plan to me.
Yeah.
And then she like landed and and the fact that everyone believed her. Like
That
no
was the
one
crazy part.
doubted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
And
I'm sorry, no one has ever seen this person before, and you're arriving and talking about this whole thing. And so an entire society completely changed the way they did everything for
That's a good point.
2,000 years.
That's a good point.
So
Yeah.
like that to me seemed like a bit of a stretch, but I mean, you kind of have to make allowances because people do stupid stuff.
there's
True.
a good overarching question here about the Sith backstabbing and the power structure.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to hop into that, Jared, but that's exactly what we're kind of referencing here with how. Right, I feel like at the end you have this I don't know how they believed her, but 2,000 years of preparation, right? You have 2,000 years of preparation, and they send in the engineer.
Yeah.
They send in the engineer first to go survey. Goes terribly wrong, and then they send this group of probably the undesirables, I don't know, to just get destroyed. And then comes Varner just strolling along, hanging around, and I think it was so masterfully done. I don't know if it wasn't really touched on. It was just so quick how everything went, and then before you know it, it's like, all right, well, this is ours.
Yeah,
it just
that
hurts. It
twist
hurts
at
so
the
much.
end. Yes, because like you have like 90 pages of like this is gonna go, like they're gonna get demolished. Like the Sith are just gonna get completely wiped out. And then like the last like 10 pages, maybe 15, it like they just like twist the knife in, and all of a sudden you realize they just conquered an entire freaking planet with like
Yeah.
nothing.
Well,
Yeah.
I can't wait for that to happen tomorrow when I finish reading that story because I'm a little
Oh
bit
my
behind.
gosh.
But I have read it before. It's been 8 years since I read this thing,
Yeah.
and so much has
Yeah, well,
developed.
they basically like there's a big force of like the evil guys and like this,
Right.
and they get slaughtered, and then Varner Hiltz comes up and basically kills that guy and tells the Kashiri that, oh, these were the bad guys all along. We've been trying to get rid of them. Like, here, listen to one of your own. Like, he's a historian and he is writing history. And he just
that's
like
cool.
creates this narrative
He
that
created his
completely
legacy.
changes. Yes. It completely,
Yeah.
and just like Yaru Corson. And so that I thought was genius. Like the way that John
the way it
Jackson
ties
Miller
back
built.
around.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then it foreshadows what Palpatine will do. Like the
Sure.
Sith don't always come in brute force. The
Right.
way they are truly successful is by cunning and intrigue
Yeah.
and political
And
games.
To add on to that, right? I guess we're still back. We kind of hit an overarching question. Now we're back into the characters. But Varner Hiltz also, what was his bride?
Oh yeah.
His consort.
His consort.
Sela.
That's right. Sela, who is
Wait, no.
no,
Wait,
it wasn't. No, it
I-
was
it was
Episode-
Ileana or
Ajari.
something.
Ileana, or no, I think it was
I'm
Ileana.
just throwing out character
Gosh.
names like
Yeah. I think Emily,
Jar
you're
Jar.
right.
It
It's
was
it's Ileana.
Jar Jar.
Yeah.
And which is exactly what happened with Yaru and Sela, right? Sela
Yeah.
to gain power, but then of course Yaru created the whole thing of if I die, you do too.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
And Varner Hiltz, knowing that, being the schleppy janitor, no disrespect, but he was not really of any high structure, not fit by any means. But he ended up going for Sela, who was Ileana, who was the Sela of the story, right? And so kind of sealing her
Right.
fate. If I die, you do too.
he was
And
Sela-ing her fate.
just checkmating
Nailed it.
everything, everybody.
Right.
Really kill it. He
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's a really it's brilliant plotting and character work is fantastic. World building is fantastic. It's also just a breezy read. His sentence structure is just easy to consume. It's not overly wordy, and yet every single story had something I was underlining and highlighting. And I was like, oh man, that's just perfectly sums up everything we need
Such
to
good
know about
writing.
the Sith. Everything you
Mhm.
need to know about the Sith right there. You know, it really reveals the Sith's weakness in their backstabbing power structure. And the power structure of the Sith here really is different than the rule of two. So, you know, we've seen a few different potential Sith power structures. You've got, you know, the Khan's Brotherhood that Bane overthrows. You've got the rule of two. Palpatine's monstrosity that he's got going with everybody. Everybody's apprentice has a secret apprentice. And then, of course, Darth Krayt's one Sith. And then now the Lost Tribe of the Sith, but having their own High Council and a Grand Lord, which carries over into Fate of the Jedi as well. And of course, the Kashiri, you know, being an interesting element in all of this. So I've got an interesting question here. All right. So this was released in a very unique way, being, you know, story to story, released over a period of several years, preparing the way for it, and then coinciding with eventually the Fate of the Jedi releases. What do you think is the optimal way to consume this story? Do you think it would be best to have read this story by story as they were released, binge reading it like we've done as a single book, preferably not Emily's way, where you don't actually know that they're short stories until after you finished it? Sorry, Emily.
I don't recommend my method. It's very disorienting.
A lot of folks, a lot of people in the Utini community, they read it as one of their first 5 Legends books because it's one of the first few chronologically, and they want to start at the very beginning. And it's not very Star Warsy, and they tackle it very early.
This is like an advanced reader. Like, you've got to be entrenched in Star Wars before you pick this sucker up.
You got to know who Naga Sadow is before you dive into this, I feel like.
It's way better if you have some background.
And Revan.
Yes.
You just publication, start at the Golden Age. That's all. Start the Golden Age, move forward.
Start with the 90s books.
Yeah.
So then what it would be like to read this alongside Fate of the Jedi. I think when I read it for the first time, I read it after Legacy of the Force, right before I started Fate of the Jedi, in order to kind of have a primer on who the Lost Tribe of the Sith is. I think that's how I did it. But then there's also the comics to add another layer of complexity in all this. What do you think? What's your opinion on the best way to consume the Lost Tribe of the Sith stories? Ooh. Other than not Emily's way.
Definitely binge read it. It's fun. The thing is, I'll never forget reading this and then having to wait. Right? That's the worst. But in this case,
so you
just
did it
get
that way.
I did. I had to. That was when I first found it, and I remember seeing it. And I was like, wait, this is different. I remember asking folks too on the BBS boards. I'm like, what is this? Not really sure, because, you know, Reddit and all that stuff wasn't really as big. But yeah, I definitely remember getting into this slowly. And then, of course, I stopped after Sentinel, because I was just like, I can't keep up. There's a lot of stories. I didn't know when it was going to stop. Eventually getting the whole book, reading them all again, and then it just sealed the deal. It's the way to go. Don't waste time. Just read it. Read the book front to back. It's a quick read. You're gonna get through it in like maybe 4 days at most, even if you're just pacing yourself. So, yeah. What do you guys think?
That's a great point, Freddie. I think it is easy to get lost in the details if you go too slow and forget who the characters are. That's lose the connective tissue between story to story.
Yeah, you get lost for sure. There's too much to tie in.
It took you longer than 4 days, Emily?
It did. It took me a couple weeks to read. I am quite busy though, so I don't know. It could be, if you're a fast reader, it's enjoyable.
We want an audio,
100%. That would be great.
But let's be honest.
Audiobook would be great.
Yeah.
So a physical copy. I would not recommend the ebook. I would recommend a physical copy for this one, so you can flip back and forth to the maps, and you can it would be much easier if you just had the copy of the book. Yep.
Like, I don't know if I mentioned this on the show, but I read the book over probably 2 months, and that was way too spread out. And so I'm definitely with you guys that if we're saying the not Emily route, also the not Rick route.
I'm trying to find my second
this too.
Don't wait my route either. You're gonna wait like what, months before you read the next one?
Yeah.
And then there's the Jared route who hasn't finished it this time. Route.
Hey, first time I read this is the book that I brought with me when I went to see episode 7 in theaters back in 2015.
Nice.
So I've got a picture. It might be the happiest picture of me ever taken, where I'm sitting in the theater because I got there like hours early because I'm a nerd, and I want to get a good seat. I did the 7-episode marathon. It started at 3 a.m. and I arrived at 10
word.
p.m.
Oh my gosh.
So I brought my book to read, and so I've got a picture of me like holding my badge for the 7-movie marathon, wearing my Star Wars shirt, my big Star Wars belt buckle, grinning like ear to ear, holding Lost Tribe of the Sith.
That is heartwarming.
So it is. I'll have to find it and post it in the Discord. So a lot of good ways to read this. One way we would like to read this is an audiobook. Boy, would we love that. If anybody is listening, we would love to be listening to this book on
Patreon
audio.
goal.
But
I would,
get a certain amount.
Imagine
can we
Jonathan
fan
Davis's
produce it?
sultry tones. Yeah, I don't think that's like legal.
Yeah, it's not a thing.
Is that legal?
I've
got one final question here. As we get into it, this is a really unique book. Now we've got a few different short story collections that have been published, both in canon and legends. The typical format in legends was we had the tales of anthologies, which were several of them commissioned, several different storytellers. Hey, we're all going to pick a character from the cantina and write about that character. Then Kevin J. Anderson edited all those into one cohesive volume. Then we have 2 of them, Tales from the New Republic and Tales from the Empire, which are a collection of Star Wars Adventure Journal short stories. How are those selected for which ones went in those volumes? I don't know. They're just slapped together, and they're just kind of odd little conglomerations of, these happened during the period of the New Republic. But I do wonder, this one's different. You've got one author writing all the stories. They all tie into one another, and yet they're separate and apart. They're in story arc chunks. If another short story collection of Legends material were to be made, what's your pitch? What would you want to see collected? It doesn't actually have to be stories that exist. It could be, just like a theoretical, hypothetical situation. More recently, we've seen things like the Star Wars Insider stories grouped together into a hardback collection. That's another way it can be done. But what's your pitch for a Lost Tribe of the Sith-esque short story collection?
I'd like to see a story about droids, like the story of the droids. Right? We see the droids. We love the droids. We see gonk droids, mouse droids. It'd be nice to have a little tales of the droids.
Tales of the droids. There's plenty of droid stories. They can find some droid stories and throw them together in a re-release. That'd be cool. With one brand new Legendsy droid short story from a a Legends author of renown. All right, I've got my pitch. I've been thinking about this for a week here. Okay. Here's my pitch. Timothy Zahn and Michael Stackpole.
Sold.
Say less.
Yes.
All right, that does it for Legends Look Back. Thanks everybody for joining us. Both of them wrote a bunch of short stories back in those different short story collections. I want to see Tales of the Zahniverse. I want all of the Legends short stories that Timothy Zahn ever wrote put in one volume with Thrawn's big old blue face with his red eyes just smack dab on the cover. The entire cover is blue. It's just Thrawn's face. That thing will sell like gangbusters.
We're calling it Zahn. We're just calling it Zahn.
Zahn.
Called Zahn. And it's going to have Timothy Zahn right in the front cover with red eyes, folding his arms. Blued.
I like it.
Avatared.
Love it.
Or it'd be fun to have kind of what canon Thrawn prequel trilogy did for the Chiss, have some more Legends, Legends crazy, Legends at its best, Chiss stories from Zahn. That'd be fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I also think my pick would be a X-wing fighter, a squadron, some a whole different characters, maybe short stories from different perspectives. That'll be fun. I don't know.
Absolutely. I love that. Yeah.
We got to put Skooma Joe's
What do we have here?
Scuba Joe's
Read it, Freddie.
comment there.
Read it for us here, Freddie.
Yeah, here we go. The book would also come with a CD that only contains the song Blue by Eiffel 65.
The only thing I have to say to that is dabba-dee-dabba-die. All right. Emily, what's your pitch for a short story collection?
Okay, so mine would be like, I want caveman Jedi. We've got a lot of like kind of like we got a lot of Jedi lore. We don't have anything like the very first discovery of like the Force. You know, I would love like super ancient Jedi stuff. I don't know. I feel like the only thing I've read is like Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void. As far as I know, that's the earliest chronologically, correct?
Yeah.
And that puts you smack dab in the middle of a developed civilization that already has an entire Jedi culture.
Do you think
backpack lightsabers?
Right.
Yeah.
What?
Do you think the light side or the dark side was used first?
Okay, I heard Rick. What did you say, Jared?
Oh, you said what? And I'm laughing not at your comment. I'm laughing because I've always found that ridiculous. They're like, all right, let's go cutting edge, ancient lore. Yeah, they already have spaceships and almost lightsabers.
Yeah, there's never like, So I want to see, I think light side, because I feel like dark side, we've had a lot of that, the development of the dark side of the Force. But like
the dark side stories
light
are always
side,
better. They're always better.
We should
very
get gray
interesting.
Jedi stories.
No,
or maybe it's like both. Maybe it is like, because there needs to be an element of tension, right? So maybe there is like a society and there's a discovery of like, you know, use your Force for good, sort of like a Cain and Abel kind of story, where you have like two brothers or two like close people, and like one of them goes one way, one of them goes the other way. Something happens.
Or
I'm not a writer, clearly, but
even the Mortis
I'd like
trilogy,
to read it.
Right, like the Mortis trilogy and the Clone Wars had a really good story of the father of the Force, right? I'm not sure what he was. He was like the balance, the scale.
Yeah.
And then you had, of course, the daughter who was the
light
pure,
side.
I would say the pure light side, and then the son who was pure dark side.
Pure Sam Witwer. That's what he was.
Sam Chef's kiss.
Love that man. Absolutely. So some great pitches there. Let us know in the Discord what would be your pitch if you could have, you know, one more of these, like by a single author kind of commission to write connected short stories, you know, just a hypothetical sort of thing. And let us know, of course, if you want to hear us cover the Lost Tribe of Sith comics, you want to pull in Jacob from the Cosmic Force over to cover one of those and give him some Legends homework. That's something that you want to listen to and read along with us. Let us know, and we'll see if we can throw something together this summer. But in the meantime, we're going to take a little bit of break from the live show grind. We're going to throw some other kinds of content at you. And we're on a break from Legends Look Back, as we have here from Rick. Appreciate the memes, man.
You're welcome.
That's right. Does this mean you're going to date other podcasters, Rick? You're not going to like take guest hosts
hey
spots, are you?
You did not answer clearly.
I've got a friend who's got a youth ministry podcast, so you never know. Better treat me right, or I'm just gonna.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, I definitely.
I'm gonna have a European.
I'm finally gonna. Oh yeah, there you go. I'm finally gonna make my Utini of Star Trek. That's what's happening. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
You Trekkie, is that the name of it? Yeah, we do have to do our Star Trek roundtable. When we said, we're going to do that summer. The punishment for the Legends reading contest was we were like, we'll do that way off in the future, like summer. Well, guess what? It's summer. Well, that does it here for Legends Look Back. Thank you for joining us here tonight. Thanks to our incredible patrons for your support. A special thank you to Michael Fry, Brian Dooley, Earl Q, Carl Sander, and Zach W. on our Jedi High Council, as well as James T. Ashley Ingalls and Chris Carrizo on our Alliance High Command. Remember to sub to the channel, leave us a review in your podcast platform of choice. If you're watching this on YouTube, click that little thumbs up button, or the other one that glows that's red and says subscribe, or even that bell. I don't know what it does, but you can click it, and I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to say that. If you'd like your thoughts around the show, our contact information can be found in the description below. You can contact us on Twitter. We'll be there all summer, no matter what, at Legends Look Back. Remember to keep the Utini fan code and be a force of positivity in the fandom. May the Force be with you.